With this video, we'll be finishing off the hit list missions, and we'll be using the bad boy of the team, Jimmy Wilson.
Lasses, grab your lads! And fellas, grab your nads! It's showtime!
As much as I hate him, he's got the most personality of the bunch, that's for sure.
Right then.
And that's a hell of a lie to go out on.
Akatsa is always ready.
Now the mission we'll be taking him on is this one, immediately below the one we just did. We won't be moving on to a new target this time. David Graves is the final target, and one of his missions is online only. The other two are in the mainline Vendettas mode. So we'll just go through his bio now. Graves, a high-ranking member of the Brotherhood, acts as the president of the main branch of Manhattan Trust, a bank serving Brotherhood interests. We actually knew that from the newscast, but now we know it again. And we'll be dealing with him when we return to Shoshana's missions in Vendettas mode. For now, we'll be going back to the docks to do more damage in a much more interesting mission. And I did this all in one segment, so didn't even bother to cut out the loading screen here. It's not that bad. I'm playing the downloaded version.
So word is the Brotherhood got their hands on some old Darkness relics. Not very safe to let them hang on to them. What do you say?
Yeah, whatever. You'll get your shiny baubles. I just want to punch somebody.
Jackie's back. And we're actually, dealing with the relics that these guys are known for. First, we're buying all the upgrades again. We're up to 4 Darklings per spawn. Then the other ones are we get to knock down the enemies and the Darklings do more damage. I'm fairly certain both of those upgrades are entirely useless because they're all or nothing. They either kill their target or they explode on the way to doing so. Then those are the usual upgrades. More damage to the Darkness weapon and faster recovery of the Darkling special ability.
Horses are leadership changed. The rise of the Brotherhood will soon be complete. Amen, brother.
Christ, I'm getting skunted!
That's a pretty fun way to kick off the mission. Felt like Hotline Miami for 10 seconds there. Throughout the level, we'll be seeing red video game barrels. This is a first-person shooter after all, so they explode. They take a long time to explode, or a ton of bullets. So that's kind of awkward. They're actually not very useful because of that. But at least we just picked up a ton of bullets. I sure wish I had picked up the assault rifle before opening the ammo crates, because they just gave me a bunch of shotgun shells that I'm not going to use. But it's nice to take a look around here. I almost don't mind the fact that I'm lost at a dead end. Using the select button tells us where to go, which is up here onto the crane platform.
We really gotta walk across that crane, yeah? Eh, fuck.
This is a neat little gimmick, which I imagine is much more difficult for any of the other characters. We are going to be stuck on this crane platform, very low maneuverability, as it very slowly moves over to the next dock. And enemies are going to spawn in and fire upon us as this occurs. We're just a sitting duck. The other characters, their special abilities would at least allow them to kill the enemies more quickly, so maybe that would even out. But it would be very hard to avoid damage here, and that's what Jimmy Wilson is good at, just absorbing damage, as he takes less damage than anybody else. Turns out that makes him maybe the easiest character to play of all the Vendettas characters. But they're all perfectly viable for every mission. I just find him and Shoshana to be the easiest for the most part. Even though the crane platform is open, we cannot jump off of it. There's an invisible wall. So we just gotta wait it out. While we're waiting, I'll start talking about the one remaining appearance of Jenny in the comics that I haven't covered yet. Which actually starts with the villain of the arc, who's this guy in Spanish conquistador armor. He found the Fountain of Youth in Florida, and it not only made him immortal, but put him in charge of a legion of evil cherubim. Those little, like, Cupid angels. So they go around killing people with their Cupid arrows. And he is filled with ennui. He's forgotten his name because it's been, they explicitly say over and over, 200 years since he found the Fountain of Youth. So you're immediately put in mind of Ponce de Leon when you see him. But the Spanish conquistadors were from about 500 years before the 1990s. But they keep saying 200. So he's just a guy who was a conquistador 300 years too late, and therefore does not have a name. So when I said before that Jenny moves back to New York after the Batman arc, I was actually mistaken. It's Jackie who moves out of New York as part of the Witness Protection Program. He is escorted to Florida by a FBI agent who is also a gay black man, or as Jackie calls him, a brother who thinks he's a sister, because Jackie's the worst fucker ever.
Why all the extra security? Is another shipment coming in? Shipment? More like shipments. The new year. Several relics are coming in tonight. Ah, excellent news, brother.
So Jackie's adjusting to his new life in Florida, visits a local strip club, and who should be tending bar there but Jenny by pure contrivance. They catch up a little bit, and they agree to have a friendly hangout later on. Jackie starts to think his new life might not be so bad, but in the parking lot he is confronted by a man who calls himself Robert Bearclaw, or Ripclaw. He is a transplant from a different comic book series called Cyberforce. And he knows that Jackie is the Darkness. So Jackie attacks him, but not without a one-liner, which is something like, "You must be out of your wigwam if you think you can take me." Which Ripclaw points out that it's very sad that he's making racist remarks about his Native American heritage. So right away, Ripclaw, way more likable than Jackie. They battle for a while, Jackie using the Darkness and Ripclaw using his cybernetic claws that are his namesake. And when Jackie tries to kick him in the balls, he discovers that he also has cybernetic testicles. Eventually, Jenny comes out to break up the fight by revealing that Ripclaw is her new fiancé. That certainly stops Jackie in his tracks, so Ripclaw takes the opportunity to explain that he's not here to fight Jackie, he's here to train him in mastery of the Darkness, so that he can assist in fighting the threat of the Cherub Hostile. Those cherubim from before are trying to ascend to heaven. They're going to do it in about 2 days, and when they do, it will, for some reason, destroy the entire world. Maybe it's like Dogma. I don't know, they don't explain it, they never explain anything. Here's our gameplay mechanic for this level. You press a button, it very slowly moves a crate, much like it very slowly moved the crane that we were on earlier. We gotta kill people until the crate lands, then we collect the contents. Then we do it again. It's something though, so I don't mind. It gives me more time to talk about these comics. So, Jackie needs to be trained to use the Darkness. He's apparently worthless at it. Has been this whole time. And Ripclaw needs to train him from scratch. 2 days is not nearly enough time. So the solution is to go on a peyote trip. Because even though they like to point out the racism of boiling down Native Americans to a series of stereotypes, they still rely on those stereotypes as writers. Jackie is concerned, because he's a paranoid hitman, that if they go on this trip, their bodies will be vulnerable to attacks. So Ripclaw says he'll leave someone on guard. And that's enough to convince Jackie. They go on their trip, which takes like 2 full issues of absolutely nothing. There's like silly bullshit where Jackie's in a pink rabbit suit. Oh, by the way, Jackie's had a haircut to go into the witness protection program. So instead of looking like he's in his late 30s, he looks like he's in his early 60s for all of these issues. Even though he's 22. They just put way too many lines on his face, and now you can see all of them because his hair is shorter. So they go through all sorts of silly bullshit. Jackie sees his father's death because apparently the peyote trip is more time travel than anything else. He sees him and his sister's birth, and that's really all that happens. He goes through his life. It's a Wonderful Lifestyle. Can't affect anything, but he just looks at it and quips about it. Meanwhile, Caprice, his sister, she is the one who is on guard of their bodies. And she is a poor choice, because she immediately considers having sex with Jackie's unconscious body. That will cause her to get pregnant, which will kill Jackie, which will give her the entirety of the darkness to herself. She decides not to go through this plan solely out of respect for Robert Bearclaw, her mentor who taught her how to use all of her powers. So they come out of their peyote trip having totally wasted the 2 days they were allotted. The Cherub Hostile are going to mount their attack at sundown, and they're about 1 million strong, so Ripclaw tells Jackie to summon 1 million Darklings to fight them. Jackie's trying to do this, and Jenny puts a hand on his shoulder for support, and the darkness begins absorbing her body into itself. So Jackie goes to Ripclaw, gives him a big hug to absorb him, make himself more powerful that way. Then Caprice, of course, she rubs up on him, gets sucked into the darkness as well. They basically agree that it's a good way to die, fighting the Cherub Hostile. This is what gives Jackie enough power to summon his 1 million Darklings. One of them's like a T-Rex. They're all kinds of ridiculous shapes. It's pretty cool, actually. They fight the Cherubs, they're ripping their fucking heads off. It's very gory. It's less of an anticlimax than most of the other stories, but an anticlimax nonetheless, because it's just a few pages of gore, and then the problem is solved. It's mostly told from inside the darkness itself, because Jackie gets sucked in too, and then when he meets Caprice again inside the darkness, that causes him and Jenny and everyone else to be reconstituted outside of the darkness for ass-pull reasons. There's no reason. I watched this trick shot. Pretty cool. The Dark Axe is actually a pretty neat weapon. It's just hard to use. The Ponce de Leon guy, when they get back to the real world, he's already dead. He's had his head put on a spike by the Darklings. Everything goes back to normal, except that while this was all happening, Jackie was assumed missing from the Witness Protection Program, and so Uncle Frankie got off on all charges and was released from prison. On his way out of prison, he thanks Sonatine in Winter's body for doing what all the lawyers in the world couldn't, which was nothing. Winters wasn't involved at all. And next time we see him, he has already killed Jenny on videotape.
Right then, let's get the fuck out of here.
And that's the climactic finale of The Darkness Volume 1.
Oh, are you there? Sorry. Listen, as soon as you guys find some answers down there, I want you to check in with me. Got it? Okay, good, bye.
Sure thing, you wee lad. I'm gonna enjoy this.
Go get him! Hey, begging your pardon, but what kind of axe are you holding? I don't recognize it. Some kind of mystical power to it?
None of your fucking business, you tosser.
I'm sorry, I was just trying, I did...
Go suck your own balls, you damn cunt.
Hey, it's Johnny. You find the source of the Dark Essence yet?
Keep your knickers on.
Sorry, my bad. You are right. I will, in fact, keep my knickers on. Sir, am I even wearing knickers?
What did you say?
Nothing. I was just, I was just wondering about that axe of yours.
You're one cheeky little bastard.
Been a while since I've been across the pond. That's bad, right? Sorry, either way. I just curious about the axe is all. I just wanted to know where it came from.
The Lady of the Lake came to me in a dream and presented this battle axe to me, so that I may lay waste to all the evil in the world.
Really?
Fuck no, you cunt. I found it in the woods and liked the balance. It kills just fine. You got a problem with that?
No, that works for me. Just let me know when you've got something on the Dark Essence down there, okay? I see you, bye.